Welcome to Mysti-mystical stories. Blowfly. A fly was flying around the room. It seems to be an ordinary fly, only large and somehow grayish. Like all flies, she landed first on one, then on the other. From the windowsill she flew to the table, from the table to the wall, from the wall to the lamp, from the lamp back to the windowsill. Boy Paul sat on his couch and looked at this fly. He got ready for school too early and now sat and waited. He didn't want to come to school too early. A fly landed on the wall clock, and Paul realized that it was time to go to school. When he returned from school, he saw that not one fly was already flying around his room, but three. Paul didn't like it. He opened the window wide open and drove the flies out into the street, let them fly there. Paul woke up in the morning because someone was tickling him. He opened his eyes, got up from the sofa. Many flies flew off him at once, about 10. Paul complained to his parents about the flies. Mom looked at them and said that they were some unusual flies. She killed one fly with a magazine, which she rolled up into a tube, and took it to show to a woman she knew, who had once studied at the university to be a biologist. She said it was a gray blowfly. She advised to put a piece of meat on the windowsill so that the flies would sit on it, and not on the boy. So they did. But Paul wakes up the next morning, looks, the whole room is filled with flies. Some are sitting on him, and some are on the meat. He again began to drive the flies out into the street, but he did not manage to drive them all out. At night it became quite unbearable to sleep. There were a lot of flies, they walked on the floor, and it was very unpleasant. Then Paul brought a thick blanket, found his old diving mask, put it on and crawled under the covers and breathed through the tube. But in the middle of the night he feels that someone is taking the covers off him. He turned on the light and saw that it was the flies that had taken hold of the blanket and were holding it in the air. Paul was very surprised. He had never seen anything like it. But he was even more surprised when he realized that complete order reigns in his room. Yes, everything around is teeming with flies, but nothing is lying on the floor, as usual. Everything is clean and tidy, and on the table lies some incomprehensible white lace tablecloth. The flies have already eaten all the meat on the windowsill. Then Paul brought more meat from the refrigerator, but it was frozen. He placed it on the windowsill. The flies pounced on the meat, but then buzzed evil and pounced on Paul. In the morning, the parents found only Paul's white skeleton, and his whole room was decorated with white lace napkins. The secret of Senya's death was revealed only a week later. It turned out that an old grandmother died in one of the apartments in the entrance. Her corpse lay in the apartment and rotted. Maggots crawled out of it, which then turned into gray meat flies. These flies climbed into the ventilation, and threw it into other apartments. If you like this story, write in the comments. Subscribe so you don't miss the next story. She will be very soon.